Good morning and welcome to Live Without Limits. Transform your thinking to redesign your life. I'm your host, Davida Shensky, and today we're diving into a really powerful topic: how the way you treat others actually teaches them how to treat you. And this is such an important topic because I know a lot of people who abuse someone else and then they think they have a right to, and then at the same time, they expect you to treat them differently. Therefore, this is a very important topic. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever noticed that some people seem to command respect effortlessly, while others struggle with being overlooked or dismissed? The difference isn't luck, it's in the signals they send through their actions, words, and even the boundaries that they set. Therefore, in this episode, I'm going to walk you through how to respect starts with you, how the mirror effect shapes relationships, and what practical signs you can take to set the tone for how people treat you, whether in your personal life, at work, or in your closest relationships. And here's the kicker: when we're talking about the mirror effect, think of psychodrama and how you got someone mirroring back to you your expressions, your emotions, and helping you understand exactly where you're coming from. Respect starts with you. So let's do this. Let's start with the foundation. Respect starts with you. When you treat yourself well, when you speak kindly to yourself, value your time, and protect your energy, you're teaching others to do the same. If you put yourself down, if you ignore your own needs or overextend without boundaries, you're signaling that it's acceptable for others to treat you the same way also. Here's the other side. How you treat others sets a mirror standard. If you treat people with kindness, you're modeling what you expect. If you treat others carelessly, it can send the message that you'll accept careless treatment back. Think about it. If I constantly forgive someone for being late, but I also show up late to their commitments, what am I teaching? That time doesn't really matter. But if I honor my time and their time, showing up prepared and expecting the same, I'm setting a clear, consistent standard. So the real reflection question is this: what standards am I setting by the way I treat myself and by the way I treat others? Both sides of the coin are shaping how people interact with you. Earlier, I asked the question: what standards am I setting by the way I treat myself? This is a powerful reflection because it works in both directions. On one side, how you treat yourself sets the standards for others. If you constantly put yourself down, ignore your needs, and let people walk over your boundaries, you're signaling that it's acceptable for others to do the same. If you speak kindly to yourself, honor your time, and hold firm to your boundaries, you're teaching people that you expect to be treated in the same respect. On the other hand, how you treat others also sets the standard. If you treat people with kindness, patience, and respect, you're not, or you're modeling what you will and will not accept in return. For example, if you speak to others with dignity, but someone responds harshly, it becomes clear that they're out of alignment with the standard that you're setting. It almost like holding up a mirror. Your behavior toward yourself and toward others reflects back the kind of treatment that becomes your normal. So here's the bigger question. Am I showing others that I deserve respect by the way I treat myself? And am I showing others how to treat me by the way I treat them? When you line those two sides up, self treatment and outward treatment, you create consistency. And consistency is what teaches people the rules of engagement with you. The mirror effect, leading by example. Now, let's talk about the mirror effect. Here's the thing, people mirror back the energy and the behavior they experience from you. If you treat others with kindness, respect, and patience, most people respect you in kind. Think of the workplace example. Imagine a manager who communicates with calm clarity. Even when things get stressful, their tone stays steady and professional. Over time, the team naturally mirrors that tone back. Meetings are calmer. People handle conflict better. Now, flip that. Imagine a manager who yells, criticizes, or belittles. Pretty soon, you've got a culture of fear, defensiveness, and blame. It's the same in relationships. If you're warm and attentive, you usually get warmth and attention back. If you're dismissive or harsh, you often get the same. Here's the key, by treating others the way you want to be treated, you're teaching them what kind of relationship you're available for. Respect invites respect, neglect invites neglect. Now, let's talk about the mirror effect. People mirror back the energy and the behavior that they experience from you. If you're patient and respectful, most people reflect patience and respect. If you're dismissive or harsh, others may respond in kind or even feel like it's okay to treat you that way. Is an example. A leader who communicates calmly, even under pressure, shows their team that respect is the standard. The team mirrors that back. But if the leader snaps, criticizes, or belittles the team, will eventually reflect the negativity back at the leader and at each other. The same goes for relationships. If I treat a friend with genuine interest, they're more than likely to show that interest in me. If I constantly interrupt or dismiss them, they'll either mirror that back or stop investing as much in the relationship. The key is this: your treatment of others doesn't just teach them how you expect to be treated, it shows them what's normal in your world, and people usually give back what you model. This is something that I've always said to my mother for years. Just remember how you treated me, because that's what you're getting back. And that's what you show me that you expect to be treated. And my sister has learned, because my mother got away with it, that she can too. The difference is that I have stood up to them because I learned over the years that they are abusive and they're toxic. My sister taught for over 30 years and never stayed in the same school more than a year or two, never got along with the other teachers, and never got along with her principal. After, uh, after 19 years, she had to quit teaching for 3 years and then went back to finish up her last 11 years of teaching. And she continued the same behavior and never stayed in the same school. And in fact, the last year that she taught, she had to change school systems because she had left she had gone through all the schools in special education for teachers. And to this day, she acts like she did nothing wrong and it was their fault. You know, you have to look at yourself, because if you understand where you're coming from and how you're treating others, then that just shows that you have such low self-esteem about yourself. And you and I can remember, because excuse me, but as a young child, because I grew up with a disability and I was the only child with a disability in the school. And people, peers did not know how to react to me, because at that time society did not recognize this disability community. And I was basically abused. I was bullied because I was different. I can remember being in high school and someone calling me up and asking me for a date, and something told me they were never going to show up. But you never not get ready for a date. And when they didn't show up, I wasn't surprised, because it's not like in the school when we were in class, these people interacted with me, and I knew that I was the one that to be careful. I can even remember someone calling me up and asking me to go riding with them. And luckily for me, we had other plans, because there's no telling what they would have tried to do to me if they could have. And I remember being in college and them calling me over and talking about, oh, how we went skinny dipping. And I agreed with them. And then when I walked away from them, I turned around and said, if we really did what you were talking about doing, you'd have been talking about it behind my back, not to my face. Because it's easy to bully someone else. And you see it going on a lot in social media, because when you don't see someone, it's like they don't see you. And so it's easy to start criticizing. But there's a time when people will automatically say you're bullying even when you're not. Remember that. Because if I'm giving my opinion about something, it may be different from yours. That does not mean that I'm bullying if I'm stating my opinion. But if I'm actively criticizing someone directly, then that's a different situation. Now, boundaries in action. We're going to talk about how others respond. Now, let's get practical about boundaries. Your boundaries are the strongest ways that you teach people how to treat you, and your response to matters just as much as the boundary itself. Think about it. When someone crosses the line and you stay silent, you're sending a message that it's acceptable. Silence often signals consent. But when you calmly speak out, when you say, that doesn't work for me, or I can't take on more right now, you're teaching others that your needs and limits matter. And here's the important part. You don't need to explain or over justify or feel guilty. Boundaries are about clarity, not conflict. Let me share a quick story. I once knew someone who constantly said yes to everything. Extra work, favors, demands on their time. People loved that they were dependable, but over time they became exhausted and resentful. It wasn't until they started saying no with kindness and firmness that people began to truly respect them. They went from being taken advantage of to being valued. In my family, my parents didn't expect or respect their children's boundaries, but demanded respect from us. The sad part is, this is the kind of home they grew up in and didn't want to change themselves. And they didn't understand that their treatment was only teaching their children how to treat each other and others outside the home. So remember this, every time you reinforce the boundary, you're teaching people the rules of engagement with you. When someone crosses your boundaries and you stay silent, you're teaching them that it's okay. Silence can look like acceptance, but when you speak up calmly and clearly, you're showing them what to expect. Here's the flip side. How you respect their boundaries teaches them how to respect yours. If a friend says, I can't talk right now, I'll call you later, and you honor that, you're modeling respect. If you constantly push or ignore their limits, you're showing that boundaries don't matter. And you expect yours won't be valued either. So boundaries aren't just about protecting yourself. They're about mutual teaching. Every time you hold to your boundary and every time you respect someone else's, you're raising the standard in both directions. So let me give you an example. I knew someone who used to say yes to everything, extra work, favors, responsibilities, until they burned out. Once they started saying no with kindness and also respecting when others said no, people began to truly respect them. They weren't taken advantage of anymore. Instead, they modeled a healthier, mutual respect that changed their relationships completely. Practical strategies that you can apply. All right, so how do we apply all of this in real life? Let me give you some practical strategies. Daily affirmations. Start your day by affirming your worth. I deserve respect. I value my time. I honor myself. This sets the tone internally. Role play difficult conversations. Practice how you'll say no, how you'll address lateness, or how you'll express your needs. The more you practice, the more natural it feels. Consistency is key. Follow through when boundaries are crossed. If you say you won't accept something, don't cave. Consistency teaches others that your words matter. Journal your expectations. Write down how you want others to treat you. Then check if your own behavior aligns. Do you speak to yourself with kindness? Do you respect your own time? These aren't overnight fixes. They're habits that you build that so slowly shift how the world responds to you. All right, let's make this real. These aren't overnight fixes. They're habits you build that slowly shift how the world responds to you. Let me give you some examples of what this actually looks like in practice. Daily affirmations for yourself instead of looking in the mirror and saying, I'm so tired of failing. You shift to, I am capable. I am worthy. I deserve respect. Over time, you start to carry yourself differently and others notice. For others, maybe you usually rush through conversations. Instead, you start affirming, I will give this person my full attention. And you actually put down your phone while they're talking. That simple act shows them respect and teaches them to return it. Role play tough conversations for yourself. Let's say you're constantly asked to stay late at work. You practice saying, I'm not available tonight, but I can help you tomorrow morning. The first time it feels awkward, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and people start to respect your time. For others, if you tend to cut people off in conversation, you can practice letting them finish before you respond. You might even pause for 2 seconds after they stop talking. That pause shows them your value, their voice, and they'll often mirror that respect back. Consistency is key. For yourself, if you tell people you don't answer emails after 8 p.m., but you reply at midnight, you're teaching them your boundary isn't real. But if you consistently stop, people will adjust. Over time, they'll respect your cutoff. For others, if you tell a friend you'll call them at 5 and you actually do it every time, you're showing them that you respect their time. That reliability encourages them to treat you with the same level of consistency. Journaling alignment. You write, I want people to listen to me with patience. Then you ask, do I listen to myself with patience? Or am I always criticizing myself? That awareness helps you change your self talk first. For others, you write, I want to be treated kindly. Then ask, do I always treat myself with kindness, even when I'm stressed? If the answer is no, you work on that habit and notice how kindness starts coming back to you. These are small steps, but they're powerful. The more you repeat them, the more natural they become. And as your habits shift, so does the way people treat you. You're teaching them every single day. So here's the bottom line. You are always teaching people how to treat you through what you accept, how you respond, and how you treat them. If you want more respect, start with self respect. If you want kindness, model kindness. If you want healthy boundaries, practice setting them yourself. This week, I challenge you to choose one area where you reset the tone. Maybe it's speaking up when someone interrupts. Maybe it's saying no to an extra demand of your time. Whatever it is, let that be your first step. So thanks for tuning in to Live Without Limits. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend so that whoever they are, it can be a reminder about the power of respect and boundaries. And don't forget to subscribe. Also, I want to talk about this because it really follows, and so many people do not understand that respect is learned from childhood. When you see your parents respecting each other, when you see them showing love to each other, you learn. Young children learn from what they see that goes on in the home. If the parents are disrespectful of one another, then they learn it's okay to disrespect others. If someone is a bully in the classroom and you see that, then what happens? You will also learn to bully. And the last thing I want to talk about is personalities because, and I use the desk, and just as easily as using what the Myers-Briggs, and the disc is the D, the I, the S, and the C. You've got someone that is a high D, they got a dominant behavior pattern and they believe they can control everything. Then you've got someone that whose I is very high, and that I is someone who can interact with other people easily. And then you've got the S is the steadiness, and that's the person that goes by the book. That's the person who you know you can always count on to be there when you need them. And then you've got the C of the conscientious behavior pattern. And that's someone who questions everything before they make decisions. And the reason I'm talking about is because these are different behavior patterns that we have within us. How we react to other people, how we interact with others depends on where our strengths are as opposed to where our weaknesses are. Therefore, if you understand where those things come from, then it helps you understand how to communicate better. Also, if you understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, then and how you communicate in those areas, then you can learn to pull up other parts of them. Like you may have a strong D, but a very low I, but a very high S, and those two, so that the D and the S become your strengths, and it just means it's much more difficult for you to interact with people until you warm up to them. And but you have to learn how to pull up your weaknesses to and make them more equal. Sometimes when you're very young, your strengths tend to be the most dominant until as you get older you learn to move within your behavior patterns and interact with others much more easier. And that's so important because how you treat others, how you learn to communicate in clarity, all depends on your natural behavior pattern and how you communicate with others.